What is up, guys? It is the Blue Bloods back for the third time today, man. It's been a busy like 2 days just in terms of FCS, HBCU content here on the Blue Bloods. There's been a lot to talk about, but Jackson State lands their second commitment today as now the defensive line gets another reinforcement as Julius Lewis, Fresno State transfer defensive lineman, announces his decommitment from Nevada and transfers to Jackson State instead, and said that he wanted to be part of this movement where players are going to HBCUs and taking their talents there and showing that you can be developed, you can make it to the NFL, make an impact at an HBCU. So Julius Lewis is the next name that is going to be headed to Jackson to join Coach Prime and this defense. And this is a guy who was a consensus three-star prospect out of California, played at Central Catholic High School, and according to 247 was a top 80 player in California, one of the top defensive linemen in the class of 2021, had offers from Fresno State, Colorado, San Jose State, UNLV, along with Sacramento State, which was in the area of one of the top FCS programs in the country. And he decides to commit to Fresno State, spends 1 year there, gets to see some time in a reserve role as a true freshman. But this is a guy who spent multiple years on the varsity team in high school, 37 total tackles his senior year, helped Central Catholic to a 5-1 record in league play in 2019. And he is going to be a guy that I'm really interested to see how Jackson State uses him. 6'5", 280 is a massive guy, can play in the nose, can play the defensive tackle three spot, can play edge, can play that defensive end spot where you see in the highlights. You can put him inside with his hand in the ground. You can stand him up, get a good rush. He can do a lot of different things. Now, when you're looking at what he's going to bring to Jackson State, he is just going to bring pure size if you play him on the inside. He's going to be a guy that can take up multiple blockers, can take up a lot of space on the inside, which is really going to help in terms of their run defense. And when you look at what they already have at the defensive tackle spot, Devontae Davis, you look at Katron Evans, they already have a lot of size and talent at the defensive tackle spot. And Julius Lewis, with so many years of eligibility left, I believe he still has 4 years of eligibility left, is a guy that Jackson State is going to be able to get their hands on, develop, and add some much needed depth this year, and then have a potential starter for the next 2-3 years on that defensive line. And if you want to use him as an edge rusher, it allows him to play so many different roles and be there in run downs, be there in special pass rush situations. There's going to be a lot of ways that I think Thurman and this defensive staff can use Lewis's skill set. Now, the one thing I do want to see is a little bit is some development in terms of his pass rush moves. He does a really nice job bringing the offensive lineman forward, getting his center of gravity off by using swipe techniques. But I want to see some spins. I want to see some swim moves. I want to see a little bit more variety in his pass rush tech, I guess, arsenal you can call it. But with this guy being only coming in with so many years of eligibility left, only 1 year at the college level, I think Thurman and this defensive staff for Jackson State, that's something that's going to be super easy to develop. And I think the potential for Julius Lewis to be an impact player for Jackson State over these next few over these next few seasons is going to be something to look for. But man, this defensive line was already deep, but you look at the talent that they lost, from the James Houstons to the Antoine Owens to Coinus Miller is not coming back, along with some other guys. Having bodies is always a great thing. And we know Jackson State likes to do one thing. They like to rotate defensive linemen. They like to have fresh bodies late in the game, and that can make a difference, as it did some in that Southern game where Jackson State made a furious comeback late and had some fresh bodies on the defensive side of the ball. That is going to be key. And so Julius Lewis is somebody that I'm expecting to come in, be developed down the line, and you're looking at a guy who could possibly have a starting job next season and the one after that. But I think this year he's getting to campus, a little bit late, but I think he's going to come in, be in that reserve role. You're going to see him rotated in special situations, try to find his role toward later in the season. But this is a guy that I think long term is going to be a huge pickup for Jackson State, and it makes one of their strengths in the defensive line even stronger. I'm excited to see if he's going to put on more weight. They're going to keep him at the three on the inside of the D line, or maybe they're going to look to use him as a specialized pass rusher on the edge. But there's many different ways Julius Lewis can impact the game, and I'm excited to see what this Jackson State defensive staff has in mind for a talented guy like this. But Julius Lewis, former three-star Fresno State defensive lineman, decommits from Nevada, commits to Jackson State today, according to his Twitter and Instagram. So this is a huge pickup for the Tigers, man. But comment below your thoughts on Julius Lewis headed to Jackson State, what he can bring, and overall this positive momentum that Jackson State has after landing Wilkerson, a Delaware State All-American today at the running back spot, and now another defensive lineman transfer out of Fresno State, a former three-star prospect. Comment all that below. Hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. But until next time, guys, the Blue Bloods are out.